Welcome to the Best of Intentions, a podcast from Intention Films and Media, hosted by writer, director, former film commissioner, and novelist Deborah Markowitz. So join us as we talk about all things creative.
Okay. Hi, this is Debbie Markowitz from the Best of Intentions, the podcast of Intention Films and Media. We're still waiting for our studio to reopen. So until then, I'm taking advantage to speak to some friends that are not local. Please forgive any internet problems because either the computer or the internet or something will be a jerk. But we get through it. It is what
That's
it
what
is.
we do.
But I'm very, very happy to welcome one of my friends from Texas, who is just such an amazing person. And we met in Texas at Austin Revolution Film Festival, and his wonderful brand of intelligence and sarcasm and creativity really, really kind of lights up every room and definitely gives you a laugh when you need it. But anyway, welcome to Cedric T Smith.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. I wish I was actually there with you.
I know. At least you came up a couple of years ago. That was pretty awesome.
That was an amazing time. I had such a great experience with life and the Mimosa Towers. I think, you know,
The Twisted Fork, I think you went to,
yeah,
the Mimosa Towers.
yeah, I became like the Pied Piper of that festival. Everyone was following me to the Mimosa Towers. So
That was. I will always remember that. Looking at pictures, going, where are all the filmmakers? Where Cedric knows everybody, and I said, everybody went with you, and you said, well, I'm kind of the Pied Piper of alcohol. So yeah, they
that's
just
it.
That's a wonderful thing. You get
Yeah.
everybody all having camaraderie and whatnot. That's pretty awesome. I was just talking to John Marine, my partner, who's behind the scenes here, about losing Lalo. You had a film you made. How many years ago did you do Lalo?
Lalo was in 24.
It was 24. Okay. I remember seeing that at a couple of different film festivals before you submitted to Life. And every time I see that movie, it makes me cry.
Uh,
Uh, it's when you make an independent film, you're always lacking something. You're lacking money for this or that or whatever. Or one of the things I hear the most about my movies, you use the same locations, yes, because they're free.
yes,
We go
yes.
where what's free is what we can do. But there is such heart in that film. Would you want to tell everybody what it's about if they haven't seen it?
Sure. Losing Lalo, it's about a veteran who returns home from war, and he, as most veterans, suffer from PTSD, and then he unfortunately ends his life. So it's about, the journey he had with his military buddies, and the toll it took on his family. Uh, so, it was definitely, we shouldn't have favorites of our films because that's like picking your favorite child, but
Yeah, we
that's
can.
my favorite child.
Yeah, you can. You can with that. You absolutely can. Now you had the lead of your film is he's been, in some Netflix series, hasn't he?
Yeah, Johnny Ray Diaz. He's been on the Pam and Tommy movie. He was on NCIS. In fact, last week I was in the hospital. My mom's in the hospital, and I'm sitting there with her, and I look up and I see him on NCIS, and I'm
Mhm.
like, "Hey, Mom, he was in my movie," and she just kind of, okay, nodded right back off.
Is he from Texas?
No, he's from LA. He we were so fortunate to get him because I'm in Texas, so I usually use mostly Texas actors, and for whatever reason we could not find anyone to audition for it.
Mm-hmm.
And Calvin Walker did casting, and he's like, well, can I put something out on Backstage? And I'm like, we might not have the backstage money, because we're indie filmmakers, we got to make it work. And he read it, and Lalo was originally going to be just a voiceover, but when he sent in his tape, I was like, "Oh no, that's powerful."
Oh my God, he was so brilliant. Oh my God, that one scene in the car. Is there any way to see Lalo now for people? Is it still on the festival trail?
Oh no, it did its festival run last year, so you can see it on YouTube if you go to Cedric Thomas Smith and just Losing Lalo, you'll see it. It's out there.
It's definitely worth a watch. I mean, there was so much heart in that film, and it kind of rips your heart out watching it, that what happens to people and trying to survive when you've gone through something like that.
Oh, I we we cried throughout the entire shoot. I mean, it's one of those where I
I'm
mean,
gonna
at the end of
cry
the
thinking
scene,
about I'm gonna cry thinking about it again.
yeah. So quickly, my favorite part of the shoot was when he does his goodbye monologue to his family,
Oh,
and I had this idea of let's do it on a stage.
mhm.
And San Angelo was the one that gave me the grant to make the film. And so um, one of their city people managed to get a stage. And so when we shoot this, Johnny's like, just give me two takes, just let me go with it. And I'm like, okay, cool. And by the end of that second take, when they yelled cuts, Johnny got up, ran off crying this way. I got up crying, running this way. And everyone on the crew is like in these various levels of crying. And a couple of my producers are actually therapists, and they didn't know what the hell to do.
Just like cry it out. That's the only thing you can do, really.
Yeah, I mean, I remember once she was just looking like she didn't know to go after me or after Johnny or like the other four or five people that are like in various breakdowns. But, you know, definitely that's the beauty of art. That's why I love being a filmmaker.
Yeah, absolutely. When we screened Brimstone, which is the short that John is in, and Travis Grant and Julia Weiner has a small part in it, I think it was on Austin Revolution after we screened it that somebody came up to me after and he went, "Thank you." He said, "I
Yeah,
had PTSD, and that's exactly what I go through." Travis's performance, he goes, "And people don't understand it." He said, "With me, it was his wasn't a child abuse. It was, I think it was military, if I remember correctly. The same thing he goes, and people don't understand how you can be fine 1 minute and the
yeah,
next you just can't. Whatever it is that sets them off, that you just can't do it. And I remember Jim Christopher Isaac, who runs Austin Revolution, whenever 4th of July comes around, he's got to go underground somewhere, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, definitely, because it's just too much.
Yeah.
And, that's as artists, that's what we want to do. We want to be able to touch someone. Hopefully, someone will come up to you and say, thank you for that. Because, like with Lalo, that's what we got. A lot of veterans, and I almost felt guilty with people breaking down and crying, but grief, grief flicks are my thing. So, kind of, get excited about that too. But it's it's a testament to creativity. Like when I saw Brimstone, I mean, I just John was just wow, and there's so many people, especially in the South, that can relate to that. The family's super religious, and and just that part of religion that can get mean. And yeah, I looked at John like, oh my God.
I know, I know. Well, John grew up in upstate New York, fundamentalist Baptist.
Okay.
And so he had to get himself out of that. And we have this discussion often. Is Franklin Herrick, the one he plays, is he actually really religious? Or is he
Yeah.
just using this because he's a sadist? And if he
Yeah.
can quote the Bible and make it, the reason I'm beating my son beyond belief and the reason I'm locking him up is because God told me to,
Yeah.
and so he kind of perverts, the teachings to satisfy what it is he feels he needs to do. So we have that conversation all the time. Is he really even a believer?
Yeah.
Or is he just using that? And it's yeah. And so John, even though he didn't suffer that abuse, he grew up with those words. You know,
Yes.
his mother often told him, "You're not here to enjoy yourself. You're here to work your way into heaven. You're not supposed to be happy." So you
Yeah.
have those voices in the back of your head, and I mean, still to this, he's come a long way, but to this day, it's like, wow, life is great. I must be a horrible person,
Yeah.
and to get out of that is difficult because they're the voices you hear when you're young, so they're the
Yeah.
voices in your head, you
Yeah.
know.
And they stay with you. And no matter how old you get, you think you shed them. And then one day, boom. They hit you.
Oh, all the time. Oh my God, all the time. I mean, it's luckily it gets better as you
Yeah.
realize what it is, but every now and then it just hammers you in the back of the head and you just have to go, it's not real. It's
Yes.
real for right now. It's not real. I'm not dog crap. I'm not,
I'm
it's
not a
just,
bad person. I grew up African Methodist Episcopal, which is, you know, Black Methodist. And I remember growing up, I was still trying to figure out, my identity and everything else. And I remember that always seemed to be around Easter time. And it was the Leviticus sermon that, all gay people are going to go to hell, blah, blah, blah. And I remember I I didn't take it too personal, but I remember the choir pianist. I remember I used to always look at him because you're going to get the sermon at least once or twice a year. It's
Mhm,
usually around Easter, and you might get it in the fall. I don't know, but you're going to get it about twice a year.
mhm,
And and his heart would just seem so broken because this is the pianist. He's in charge of the choir. He's your music director,
mhm.
and just that one time a year, you're going to preach that sermon and make him feel like crap. So yeah, so I say all of that to say bravo to that script and bravo to John for that performance.
Thank you. Thank you. Did you see the new one we submitted? Oh.
Yes, I think I saw that one. Was it at ARF this year?
No, no, oh no, you're right. We did submit it this year. I forgot. We just started to submit. That was the first place we premiered our
Okay.
first song, Lullaby, which John wrote, which is
Yes.
really almost nothing to do with religion whatsoever. It's just this creepy, crazy old guy who's
Yeah.
like the stuff of people's nightmares. But he wrote that one, and honestly, I think that one's a lot scarier. But I'm like, you kind of scare me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you look at him and you know, it's like, he's always quiet. Now I see why.
But it's interesting to see that creativity come at him,
Yes.
and just the
Yes.
way his eyes move. I mean, I'm just like his biggest fan, so I can do that. But so that's been fun seeing him take that shift. You've acted though? I've seen you act in a couple of things
Yeah,
that.
I will act. Funny thing was I grew up in theater, so, junior high, high school, then I did community theater.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and then, I moved to San Francisco because, I had to go find myself. And then that's when the acting stopped.
Hmm.
Excuse me. Sorry about that. Yeah, so let me turn my phone off. People are so rude. So I, moved to California and, I was going to find myself, but also thought I was going to be the next Tom Cruise. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to have my Oscar before I'm 25. The typical, um, acting desire dream. And then, fast forward, it didn't happen. Will Smith ended up getting that gig for me. And so I just, life happens. And I think I was 37 and I had moved back to Texas to help take care of my aunt. And I was working for a corporate travel company. One day they came in, laid us all off. And I was like on unemployment. And I was just like, well, what am I going to do? So one day I just went to the San Antonio Film Festival because I had nothing to do. And me and my producer at the time went and watched this documentary on these guys going to Antarctica. And I'm not your Antarctica friend, but it was just seeing them there. And, how it is when you see a movie, like when you see a movie in an attendance with an audience and they were just so excited. And I was excited for them. Then I came home and I found this part of a book that I was writing. And it was about gay domestic violence. And so I just took it and just wrote it into a little short script. Um, and it's called Unimaginable. And it took off. I mean, it was one of those where it took off probably your first film, oh, I'm gonna make it just so I can make it.
Mhm.
And that's it. But it played in Prague, it opened, it was a centerpiece film for like San Diego's Gay Lesbian Film Festival. I mean, it did pretty well too, where I'm like, maybe we can still do this, you know. So you know, 15 years later, we're doing it still.
We have about the same time frame for that. I mean, I was the Nassau County Film Commissioner for 33 years, and I've been running the Long Island International Film Expo for 29 years. And but I think I'm making my own films around 15 years now, maybe 16,
Mm.
maybe it's about that. And it's true, the first one is always like, I think I should do this just to do it. I mean, I'd already been casting for a couple of people just because I know a lot of celebrities and they asked me to step in. And then I want to see what made directors crazy. And I know. But so we were talking about The Last Taxi Driver, which is on my YouTube, if anybody wants to see it, at Deborah Markowitz. And all the socials will be in the links and whatnot. But we had to think about, do we want to do this for next to no money, no names, just play with it? If it sucks, no one will ever see it. And then it's like, well, or do we go for names? Do we try to make it good? Then we got to raise money. And because I'm in the position of having been film commissioner, having to run the film festival, and working on other people's films, I know I'm going to be trashed much harder than anybody else because
Yeah.
every person who never got in and every person I said is going to really give us a hard time, and we decided to go with names. And we got Robert Classy from Blue Bloods, plays the taxi driver, and Deb Twist is in it from Kick-Ass, and Emily Jackson from Incarnate. She's been doing a lot of TV and theater right now. And I think at the time it was like $12,000, which is still a lot of money, but then that
Yeah.
was a lot of money. And it's just a goofy little film, but it's kind of fun about a taxi driver who doesn't want to give up his medallion, even though like most of the people left are zombies. But he's like,
Uh,
"God damn it, this is what I do. Nobody's going to
yeah.
talk me out of doing this." And it was so much fun. And I didn't really think I was ever going to do it again. Well, I don't know, 60 films later.
Oh my God. I think you make one film a week, Deborah.
It seems like it. Yeah, it seems like
You are
it.
so prolific. Every time I look up, you're doing something new. I need your mojo.
Yeah, we're trying to actually step back just a little bit because like I have two films at the Big Apple Film Festival this week. One I directed called Welcome to Bellevue, which is a pilot, which I hope she submitted it to Austin Revolution. Maureen Van Trees and Susan Lampkins wrote it and produced it, and it's such a cute little film. And you would probably love it because it's about this woman who works in an assisted care facility and
Mm.
takes people who aren't all quite there anymore.
Yeah.
And they're all based on true stories, because Susan still works in one. So it's all based on the things she had gone through. And then Beyond the Silent Night, which I was the casting director on, which is so good also. But I can't go because I'm exhausted because we have like 4 films right now. We have a Waitlist, the Lover Story, which is on Prime Video and moving up, yay. But then we also working on Yuletide, the Christmas movies in
Uh-huh.
development. And the feature of Brimstone, now called From the Embers, is in post. And we have another film in post. Do you know we have another film in post? I know we have a couple of guys. One more day left to
Yes, with Lucas, right?
couple of guys is a feature. Next week we finish that. So even though you're not doing the same thing every day, it's sort of
Mm.
like, oh God, now I have to do this. Oh God, wait, I have to promote that. And oh God, no, we're filming on Tuesday. I need to, uh,
Yeah. It would drive me crazy. I don't know how you do it. I
I
mean,
don't
I
know
can.
either. Yeah, I don't know either. But we sort of decided we might take off the summer from filming per se, unless I get a real nice juicy job. Just to try to get caught up again and take because it's I love what I do, but I
Yeah.
tend to pile on too much, and then
Mm.
you're kind of screwed because you're exhausted and
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think, but you write multiple things, you know, at one time. So, I wish, I could finish something because I'll start something, hit a wall, walk away.
Mm.
And so, you know, I like your stick to itness with it. Because, you know, I wish I could just sit still and focus, but, you know,
Oh, I don't focus for anything. I can't focus on one thing. I have to focus. 5 things at a time is too much for me, but I do better when I focus on 3 things, if that makes sense. Because my
that,
brain,
I,
like, John will just look at me and just be like, what? And what are you watching? You're here talking about this film, but then you're talking about this film, and I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But it takes a special person to be able to not lose their mind with me. But but I do what you do too sometimes too. I've started things and walked away to do something else though. And
Yeah.
then a couple of guys, we started that 9 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so it got to the point where we did the first couple of episodes, and then because Abigail Hawk had Blue Bloods, which was she was very we got like 2 days out of her in 2 years because she
Mm,
didn't have an advanced schedule, and I couldn't adjust the rest of the script, you know. And then Lucas was in Blacklist at the time, so that
mm,
took time. And Sal was in Billions, and Kieran was touring all the time with the Four Phantoms because he's one of Broadway's Phantom of the Opera. And I just said, like 2 days in 2 years, I can't, there's no way we can do it. But Blue Bloods ended,
yeah.
Blacklist ended, Kieran still tours, but not as much. Um, and Sal Billions ended, and it's like, if we don't do this now, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So we're basically let's just bite the bullet and go for our lungs and kind of overload ourselves to get this done before they
Yeah.
age out, before I age out,
Yeah.
whatever. So I'm so excited to have that in the can. I don't care
That's
how
good.
long it takes some post. I just need to have it off my plate right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and concentrate on the things that are right in front of me. So we are actually trying, really, really trying to slow down. I'm stuck between how many films can I make before I die, and I need to sleep sometimes. So it's just kind of really crazy. Now, what are challenges you had with Lalo? I know the time thing you said was an issue, but you felt that's what it needed to be, right?
Yeah. The thing with Lalo, when it was when it when it was completed, it came in at 34 minutes.
Mm,
And Lalo was that film where I needed to make it for me.
mhm.
It was one that, it was very, I don't have a military background. I didn't serve, but, as filmmakers, sometimes, we'll hit that wall of, am I good enough to be doing this?
Oh,
Yeah, because, doubt is the devil. And I was going through that right before Lalo. And so Lalo was for me that I got to share with everyone. So I knew through 34 minutes, it's not going to make a lot of festivals.
mhm.
It's not going to make, as many festivals as, say, a 15-minute version of it would. But when I watched it, I was like, I'm not cutting it.
Yeah.
And some festivals are very nice about it. They'll say we actually loved it, but it was just a little too long.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, I'm not cutting it. So it did well on the festival circuit, you know, um, but I think, sometimes it's just nice to make something that's just for you. And, you know, wherever it falls, it falls.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten to the point because now we're getting reviews for Waitlist, A Lover's Story, and most of them are really, really good. But every now and then you'll get one. Did I really have to watch this shit?
Yeah. No,
And
you didn't. You could have turned it off.
I know, but luckily most of them are really good. But I've kind of gotten to the point that you just want the film to be seen by the
No.
people who are supposed to see it. And the
Yes.
people who are the right audience, you have to hope you find your audience. Not everybody's going to love it, you
No.
know. So you have to make it for you and for the people who are going to see it. And the funny thing is, I didn't make it to be a particularly deep film at all. I meant to make it as a heartfelt film, and it was just basically a rom-com. But people are reading so much into it. I'm like, wow, I must really be smart because I didn't even know I was doing it. But about older, why is it so bad for an older woman to have a younger lover when it's not a
Yeah.
big for an older man? I'm like, well, that's actually true. Yeah, yeah. And I'm listening to all the stuff, which is kind of interesting. So I'm kind of learning too, going, oh, see now, there's always something deeper because people are going to watch it according to their own experience, you know,
Yes.
and so you have to do that. I see all the first time I saw it in the theater, I went, oh, I would have changed that. I would have cut that. But you know what? the people who love it are loving it. So it's on it's its own
Yeah,
life now. It is what it is, you know.
yeah.
Um,
It's definitely something, once it's done and it's out there, I will never, go back and cut things. Now, if a studio said we're going to give you $1 million,
it's a different story. Yeah,
whack away, friends, whack away. But
exactly.
I
Exactly.
because you know I love I love watching the movies with an audience. That's my favorite thing to do is sitting there with you know and that's the feedback I look for. I'm not one to go look up reviews on IMDb or see what people are saying about it because I don't that's you. That's your if you don't like it, right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do. But the thing you were talking about, imposter syndrome, oh my God, is that devastating?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen that often anymore, although it still does, and it just it's crushing, you know.
Yeah.
And I see it. There's a few young actors and filmmakers that I mentor, and occasionally I'll get a text from one going, "I just suck. I don't know what I'm doing with it." I'm like, chill,
Yeah.
breathe, chill. If this is something you don't want to do, you can leave.
Yeah.
But know that this is going to pass if you're doing your best work and you keep growing and you keep studying and it's just, I said, it still happens to me. And I don't know how many films I'm in, but a
Yeah.
lot. And it's, I was just telling Lucas this, Lucas Hassel, who's the star of a couple of guys, and he has a smaller role in Waitlist, a lovish story. Um, there was a time a few years ago where whenever I write a script or make a movie, I'll send it to there's like four or five people I really trust to be honest, to know they're good filmmakers and to give me kind, honest feedback. You know, I never want somebody to lie to me. Don't say something's great if you don't like it, because that's
Yeah.
not, you know, and Lucas is one of them.
Oh yeah, I bet Lucas is.
Yeah, everybody knows Lucas is here. He's the master. But I sent him something and he gave me good feedback. Um, but I just was reading something of his that he wanted me to read. And I just remember going, why am I doing this? I am never going to be as good a technical writer. Who am I kidding? It's just, I don't know why I'm even doing this. And I just, this went off like a few months where
Mhm.
I was just felt that I was never going to ever really be good enough. And, um, and then I don't know what happened. One day it just hit me in the head. I was like, oh, wait a minute. But he can't write what I do because
Yeah,
he doesn't write what I do. Only I can write what I do, you know.
exactly.
And I've had people, DM me and send me emails about how much one of my books or one of my movies meant to them. And I'm like, okay. So now he can do anything he wants, clearly, but he's got his genres and the things I write, or I know if I feel it, that the audience is going to feel it,
Somebody, yes.
so I just that kind of changed my complete outlook. And I'm not even sure where it came from, but I just went through months ago and I don't even know, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Nobody wants to see my stuff. Well, it's just ugh. And you know what? Most people don't want to see your stuff.
Yeah, and the thing is, because a lot of people just, there are people who want to see the mainstream Hollywood stuff,
Yes.
and then, that's what they want to see. Uh,
Mhm.
but I think that's the beauty of independent filmmakers. We're going to make the things that you don't think you want to see, but then you ultimately fall in love with.
Yes.
So definitely, I always tell people doubt is the devil, because I before Lalo, I was contemplating not making films anymore
Mhm.
because I had done the film before. Guilt was a process,
Mhm.
and it was kind of uncharted territory for me in the sense that I'm doing this two-person piece, and it's about rape. So anyway, so I had done this film called Guilt, and I love the story. I co-wrote it with Calvin Walker, who's a genius, by the way. Uh, and it's about a female journalist interviewing the mother of a rapist. And with her being a victim herself, they just do this, back and forth with each other. And the two actresses were phenomenal. And I was real hesitant about it because I thought, is it my place to tell this story? And I'm one of those people that I don't buy into the only specific people can tell certain stories. I think if you give the story its due diligence, it'll work out. So, with Guilt, I remember having it, and I don't do table reads. I'm not a table read person, but I did a Zoom table read. Um, and I think I had like maybe 15 of my girlfriends on it. And just because I wanted the feedback, and they were all like, go for it. This is a great, this needs to be told. And so when you know, not all productions are going to be hunky dory. This was one that kind of stressed me out because I'm going through so many things, and I was like, I don't think I want to make films anymore if it's going to, just piss me off all the time. And it played San Antonio Film Festival, and there was this editor, his name is Michael Jablow, and he's edited like, Boomerang, The Last Castle. So he's, very prolific. And I remember at the end of the screening, he comes barreling up to me, and I'm like, oh, shit. Here comes the editor. He's going to tell me all the choices that I should have made, or this, that, and the other. And he walks up to me and he goes, that movie was really good. That reporter, I wanted to slap her face. And I'm like, okay. And I said, I told him, I said, well, I thought you were going to kind of rip me a new one about some of the technical stuff. And he was like, oh man, that was forgivable because the story was what sold it. And, that's when I started trying to get over my, fear of, do I really deserve to be doing this? And I think we're always going to have that doubt,
Always. Because it's not an objective business. I mean, the only thing about filmmaking I think you can say is really objective is maybe like the sound. If the sound is bad, or the sound is, if it's that bad, then maybe you can, or if it's that blurry, but other than that, it's not an objective business. So you can't say, yeah, you can win some awards and then somebody else in another film festival is spitting on it. So
exactly.
yeah.
Yes.
I had as far as what you're saying is certain people it shouldn't only be certain people that can tell certain stories. And when couple of guys, when I started it, it wasn't even a second thought to me that I could make this film, and it was funny and great actors, and yet there was a lot of important things brought up. But as the decade went on, I've had one gentleman say to me that I can never watch your film because he's gay. Who are you to make this film about I know, and I'm like, oh my God, no one's going to watch my film. And he said you're going to watch, you're going to find that. And we were accepted to Image Out upstate for the pilot of Couple of Guys, which is now a feature. And Michael Gamilla, sadly, the director, had passed away a few years ago, but he was such a proponent of this movie. And I didn't know at the time how hard this film festival was to get into, because Pierre Stefanos, who is won his movie Bedfellows, won like, I'm going to say Sundance, I don't know, but a really big film festival, and he couldn't get into it. He's like, how did you get into it? And when we did our screening, John and I are sitting there. Now, the film really, it's a love story. It's for anybody. And but at the same time, we're sitting there in this room of probably our exact target audience, although it's for everybody. It's all middle-aged gay men.
Yeah.
And they're either going to kill us, or we don't know what they're going to do. But we sat back, and there's laughing, and there's all kinds of stuff. I'm like, I think we're okay. And then Michael set up the stage just for me and John. We had a couch, and for about half an hour, we just talked about the movie. And one of the questions from the audience was, do you have a cultural consultant? I said, yes, I have three of them. I have at the time, it was a 30-year-old gay man, a 40-year-old gay man, and a 50-year-old gay man. And I have them go over all the material, just to make sure I don't inadvertently say something that's completely wrong, or whatever. And sometimes it's not identity, it's generational. Because the 30-year-old thought something was absolutely hilarious. The 40-year-old said, this is really insulting. And the 60-year-old said, it depends on the relationship. So in the end, I took out that part of it because I didn't want to, it wasn't that important that it needed to be there. But, so that really helped me say, okay, I should be doing this. And then someone else said, stood up and said thank you, because that's the story of my life. I got
Yeah.
married, I had kids, and then when I came out in my 40s, he said, "There's nothing for people who come out later who don't have the experience. Everything is the young hot guys or this and that." And he said, "So
Yeah.
thank you, because I finally feel represented." And then I spoke to another friend of mine who is transgender, and he only will have LGBTQ cast and crew in no matter what the project is. And so I asked him and said, "Is this a problem? Because one of the actors is gay, one is not, and would you rather that I only hire, I don't do something like that, or is representation more important?" He said, "Representation is far more important." He said, "I would love if, like I was casting another actor and I was specifically looking for an LGBTQ actor to play that.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting them, but if I couldn't get them, I would cast whoever I would fit the role, because,
Yeah.
we only have so much time and some, whatever." But he appreciated the fact that I tried to do that, at
Yeah.
that point. But him saying the representation is much more important than who makes the film. So I
Yeah.
said, people will disagree, but, we got to do
Yeah.
what we
And they can make their own movies then.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And you know what? I've also come to the point. Yes, I am reading the reviews, because I have to go through and take little snippets from my website, about waitlist. But but I've almost kind of learned to laugh at some of the stuff people say, because
Yeah.
you try making a movie,
Yeah. Yeah.
People
Definitely. And
can
it's
say,
always
yeah,
the harshest ones tend to be the ones that would not know what to do.
they're
You know.
frustrated. They don't know what goes into it. They don't understand um, why you make the decisions you make, why how hard it is to do this, and
Yeah.
really how great your team's got to be. You've got to
Yeah.
have a cohesive team. Because if you don't, I mean, one of my requirements for working on a film set, we have an amazing team right now, but is obviously got to be great at what you do. You got to be great on set. Be friendly, but it's not a party. You got to
Yeah.
be you got to be serious. I don't want to have to keep telling people, or my AD to tell people you have to quiet down.
Yeah.
You should know this is work,
Mm.
and you have to want to be there.
Yes.
You have to want to work with us. You have to care about the project, because if you're not, it's going to show. You
Yeah.
know, and that's probably been one thing that's made me leave some people behind, is like they don't actually give a crap. And it's, again, you don't have to kiss our feet, you don't have to say it's the best film ever, but like it, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just makes life so much better. And I won't take jobs if I don't really feel them. I'll pass them along to somebody else, because if I don't feel it, I can't do it
Right.
justice. So that's it's things I think that's part of the maturity of this business. Is now, if I needed this to pay my bills,
Then,
that
yeah.
might be a different story, because we all got to do what we do.
Yeah.
I don't know too many people paying their bills with this right now.
Yeah. You
Everybody's
do
at
let
work.
me know.
I know. But how really privileged and lucky are we that we get to do this, and that we can do it, and that we do it is amazing, you know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
My house is a circus, so my sister was, I guess, trying to summon me for something. That's
Oh, so it's I just all the time, I know I post this a lot, is all of a sudden I'll just sit there and go, my God, I get to do this, you
yeah,
know. And it, it seems like something that's almost impossible at
mm,
times, and somehow it works out okay.
yeah. And then when you see it on the screen for the first time,
Love that.
and you're like, that was a thought in my head a few months ago,
Yeah,
and that is the best feeling. It's
it is. You birth this thing,
yeah,
and
this, yeah,
I can see my short films time and time again. I love watching with an audience. I love seeing them on the big screen. To me, that's just the best high. And probably even better than that is when you write something, you envision it, and then it becomes real, and it's like I birthed that. You
yeah,
know, that is so awesome. That's one of the most awesome feelings ever. Or the actor that totally gets what you want, or the DP that totally gets exactly what you want.
yeah, oh,
Um,
yeah.
Now, do you like the writing aspect of it? What's your favorite part of filmmaking?
Writing.
Me too.
Writing it hands down is my favorite part. I love just the journey of where it'll take me because sometimes it can be a song. Like I have the world's saddest playlist on Apple. It's called Mood if you ever want to find it.
Oh,
700 of like this, ballads, all kinds of stuff.
are you a
And sometimes
musician?
I'll,
Are you a
huh?
musician? Are you a
No,
musician?
no, no. I just love listening to sad music. You know,
Beautiful.
yeah, I grew up a child in the 70s listening to AM Gold. It's like the Carpenters. An 8-year-old shouldn't be listening to the Carpenters and Barry Manilow and, all that sad stuff. But
You
here we
should.
are. So I blame them for all my drama. But yeah, I love the creative process. I have a film called Retirement Day, and that came to life. Bill Haas, he runs Fort Worth, Panther City, and we're friends, and we see each other on the film festival tour. And one day he runs up to me in Oklahoma, and he's like, "I have an idea for this film, and I think you should direct it." And then he started telling me about it. So then I'm driving from Oklahoma to San Antonio, and that's like a 6-hour drive that feels like 20 days. And on my sad playlist, two songs came on that were basically the blueprint for that. There was Broken Hearted Me by Anne Murray and You're the Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me by Gladys Knight and the Pips. And I played those two songs back to back that whole 6 hour, sent him the script, and he was like, wow. And then he made some changes. And, and it turned out to be such a beautiful little love story,
Wow.
you know.
It's amazing. I mean, to me, writing too, the only reason I direct is because I want to make sure that the story is told right. And I mean, I love playing with the actors. When you look at
Mm,
the monitor, because I have to direct my monitor, so I want to see what it's going to look like on the screen. And
mm.
ah, I am so in awe of great actors.
Oh, yes.
It's like, and I often have to sit there like this with often when you see me directing, you'll see me because I don't want to laugh and I don't want to cry, I don't want to make noise, but
Mm.
I'm so into it. Like I'm watching a really good movie, you
Yeah.
know, but I wrote
I
it.
start I start doing this and
I wrote that. I know people, I have a lot of author friends and screenwriters, and sometimes they're like, I forget what that famous quote is: "Writing is sitting down and pressing buttons until your fingers bleed," or some
I
nonsense.
get to that.
But I love writing. I love it. I love it. And if we actually take the summer off, then
You're not
that's
going to take the summer off.
then then I would spend it writing and clearing up and finishing post and promoting. But that's my summer off. But I know we're working actually on a micro series I wrote called The Retirement. And
Mhm.
um, I really wasn't planning on doing another movie. And Glenn McBride, who is a really great actor, if you come up again for any reason, I'll introduce you. He's phenomenal. He sent me a script called The Retirement, and he said, "Hey, I'd really love to direct it." And I said, "Let me read it." And I read it, and I'm like, can I make some changes? That's always my favorite thing. And of course, I changed the crap out of it, but I love the characters. And then I'm looking at it, and I said, "So, do you have a budget?" He's like, "Well, no." I'm like, I said, "All right, let me think about it."
Yeah.
And so we kind of been working out where we can get stuff for free. And I said, but at this point, if I'm going to take it over, I'm going to change the whole entire thing. And I've never done a vertical series, which is why I would want to make a vertical series because I
Mm.
haven't done it.
Yeah.
But I want to make a good one. So I kind of changed it. I kept one of the characters' names.
Yeah.
And I just really like it. I've never done a hitman shoot 'em up kind of action thing
Mm.
before. And I'm like, oh guys, this can be fun. We can shoot the crap out of people and have blood
Mm.
flying everywhere. And it's very sexy. And I love the main character who's going to be played by Travis, who
Mm.
basically is a hitman who the way Glenn had written it was for a much older actor. Um, but then when we were going through names and he said, "Oh, I really want to work with Travis," he said, "Travis is too young to retire. So the only way he can retire if he gets very mortally wounded. And if
Mm.
not mortally wounded, he'd be dead. But he has to be so spooked then he knows he has to get out. And then I changed the entire story.
Mhm.
So I sent it to him. I'm like, is this okay with you? He goes, it's yours. Go for it. This is great. As long as I'm the
Mhm.
handler, And I'm like, yeah, no, you're the handler. You're in it. Um, but it's just, I just love his character because he's such an asshole. It's great. You know,
Mhm.
it's like he doesn't like killing people. It's just a job. He's good at it.
Yeah.
So he
Mhm.
doesn't he doesn't enjoy it. He enjoys being good at what he does. And he's just in a way he reminds me of John in the way that John will give you one word answers to things and you want to smack him sometimes. Yes,
Mhm.
John. But so he's just that kind of guy that's like, sure, yeah, okay. And people like they just want to smack him. But and he's always giving his handler problems and because he always wants more than he's supposed to get because like, hey,
Mhm.
you pay up. But he's just such a great jerk. And he kind of I don't know if falls in love is the word, but he's not able to get attached to people because of what he does. He'd be putting
Yeah.
himself in danger, he'd be putting them in danger. And then when he decides he's leaving, he meets this woman who's actually his physical therapist. And he's like, I could do this, but it's just things that happen as a result of that. I mean, now see, the more I talk about it, the more I'm going to want to do
I
it.
think you're doing it. You're doing it. So-
I can't stop talking about somebody that has to become real and then I have to birth it. And Glenn, you suck, Glenn, because if you didn't come to me with this, we wouldn't be doing this. But
You're gonna
yeah,
have to take
like Glenn,
winter off instead.
uh, we planned that last year, and I don't think we did either. 'Cause but we did slow down. We spent 8 weeks not on set, but we needed to finish up waitlist and needed to finish filming from the embers and we needed so it was we finished filming and just my office was covered with
Mhm.
stacks of paperwork I had to enter and do all kinds of stuff with and so when we say take off that literally means not step on set it
Yeah.
means nothing else.
We're still
Because
working, but we're not on set.
so much work but I mean, like you said, when you thought at one point you wanted to give it up and whatever, we spent about 14 months, several months ago, it ended 14 months of being on set almost every day on, I don't know, 3 or 4 shorts. John acted in a couple of things, did sound on something. Um, we had waitlist, so we had 2 features, something like 5 shorts. We had a pilot, and if we had any days off, there was never more than one,
Mhm.
but then we had to get ready for the next 4 or 5 days because there would be no time to do that. And it got to the point every day on From the Embers, which is such a really dark and serious and kind of wonderful film. But like the last 2 weeks, I would like get up and go, oh God, this fucking film again. And I'm like, okay, that's the bad attitude for something you love to do for actors who are killing it
Yeah.
and but I was so burned out
Yeah.
that and every little dopey thing that could go wrong
Will
was
go wrong.
yeah like oh we lost the location for this all right John will build a location or okay we can move it here or I mean just we we shot From the Embers in an apartment that's like from the late 1800s and
Mhm.
they hadn't updated a lot of stuff. So like the intern would like go to lift the blind, it would crumble in his hand. And so John's gonna run to Home Depot, get a new blind and fix it to the person who blew the electric because it wasn't set up. But just so that was either just fixed. He had to restart it. The guy didn't know that. To the shelf on the wall that's not put on right. And I'm like, don't even look at it.
Yeah.
The minute
Don't
somebody
touch
looks at
nothing.
it, it falls and it wasn't put on right, but we still had to keep. John went and got stuff and fixed it. So now it's more secure than it was. But it's just don't touch anything you don't have to touch. And I
Yeah.
mean, everything was perfect. The guy loved us. In fact, we went back once more after that. But it's just like everything.
Mm.
Uh, but we needed. I think that was the universe saying, "Chill, stay
Yeah.
home a bit, get back to where you love it every day." And we had that just now with a couple of guys in I
Mhm.
think we shot 3 4 5 5 days so far and everyone's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
We needed that time off. Do you have something else planned, anything else coming up you want to do?
Right now, I mean, I have two things ready to be shot, but like right now is just juggling the whole family thing. And that's, you know, taking a lot of me out of me
Mhm.
because creatively I want to write, I want to do this. And, I have to take care of my family. I got uh, my new kid, my 17-year-old adopted Jordan. Um, and, I'm taking care of my mother. But I try to find things creatively where I can. Like I'm co-directing James Christopher's baseball documentary To the
Oh,
Ballpark, and
mhm.
it's about um, him being a veteran with PTSD and him finding his being grounded in his home at a baseball game.
Mhm.
So I'm co-directing that with him. I have a couple of scripts. I have one called Old Fashioned, and it's about you think it's this couple meeting for a date. And, then you find out that it's actually this man telling this woman that he's having an affair with her husband. So it's like this, it's just real, the back and forth, because I love back and forth dialogue. And if it's real biting, and it's kind of biting because the wife is actually the one that just upends the whole thing. So, and of course, I got my grief pieces. So, always, I got one that I'm working on. It's complete. It's called Cecile. It's about a teacher who's just had the worst day that all teachers are going to have. And, does she quit her job? So I just, right now, I'm in my just breathe phase.
You got to go
And
through that sometimes.
yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to just breathe. So, I try to stay as creative as I can.
Mm.
But, I'm also in this, you know, life as I say, life be lifing sometimes. So it's
I think you really, I mean, I read your posts every day, what you go through with your nephews and,
yeah,
whatever. And I mean, it's so friggin' awesome because you are just so great with them. And I really think that needs to be a script or a series at some point.
and you're right when you told me that, and I was like, I know that's gonna happen because I mean, ideally, I shouldn't be a parental unit. I know that because you know,
The universe
I
is
yeah,
not.
because I typically don't like kids, but I like these kids because they're my nephew and you know my uncle's grandson that is now my nephew.
Uh-huh.
But just me not having kids, and me just being this big old mess that I am, there's no telling what the hell flies out of my mouth. So, so sometimes I'll say something to them, and they're just horrified because they're like, like the post about them taking showers every day. You know, please take a shower. I don't want you smelling like hot ass. You know, or well, the alternative. So
I
you
love
know,
it though. I mean, the universe obviously had other plans for you because you're just handling it so well. I think I would have lost my mind. But you know what? I mean, I believe that things come to us to teach us lessons. We're obviously
yeah,
where we're supposed to be, and
exactly.
you may not have wanted kids, but
I
you're
have to
lucky
now.
to have them. That's, I mean, our challenge part of it is, I think it's over a year ago now, maybe a year and a half. My daughter moved back home with an infant, and
Yeah.
she's a single mother, so we've had to step in. And I mean, watch it. He's just brilliant and hilarious, and just so much fun. But we also have to work. So
Yeah.
we spend a lot of time locked in our offices while he's trying to get in, Papa,
Mhm.
Mom, like, can't play with you right now.
Yeah.
Um, so we're trying to come to that balance of really, really enjoying him while
Mhm.
knowing that you need to bring him somewhere during the day because we got to do stuff.
We got to
I'm
work.
not ready
Yeah.
to not work, you
Yeah.
know. So, but it's not something we asked for. I would one day love to have my living room back, but now it's a big
Mhm.
play area with a corral and toys and
Yeah.
jungle gym, all kinds of stuff. Um, and I mean, the other maybe funny thing is the fact that I raised my daughter and my two stepchildren. And I finally, after like 30 years, got a new couch. And I
Mhm.
got tore down the walls when one of our dogs died and got a huge quartz counter in what was once the kitchen, but now it's kitchen. Everything's open. I love it. We work
Yeah.
there, we have classes that we do everything there. But now we have things covered in baby toys.
Yeah, you're gonna have crayons over everything.
And
Yeah.
and if my couch survives, I'll be absolutely impressed with that scissor marks and all kinds of things and food and painting everything with bananas or whatever he does. But so the universe had other plans for us.
Yeah. And
So
and the thing is, and the universe won't do us wrong because we're not shitty people. So,
true.
it's, it's gonna be a good thing. And ultimately, I think in the end, I look at like Aubrey and Jordan, and I'm like, yeah, I'm with these kids now, but I know 10, 15 years from now, they'll be taking care of me, hopefully not wheeling me off a cliff, but,
One hopes that they'll eventually be able to take, let's take grandma to the store. Let's
yeah,
hope, that
yeah,
happens. I don't count on it, but I mean, I just love him to death,
yeah.
obviously, that he's I really didn't care if I had grandchildren. We were kind of hoping
Mm.
we wouldn't. I'm sorry. We did.
Oopsie.
Most of the other kids are not interested in it. They got their careers, they got, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's all cool. But yeah, it's been interesting, So just going with it and doing the best we can. But your stories are just whether you do it as a book, whether you do it as whatever. I mean, it's just like
Yeah,
what
and I think I told myself, and I tell myself every year, and I haven't done it yet. It's like every year, just go through my Facebook memories and pull some of that and write a book or a screenplay because I think for me, the funniest chapters of my life have been with my granny, my stepfather's mom. You
uh,
know, she was, she was blind, she had dementia, and she would sit there and she'd be like, Cedric, how's your wife?
oh,
And because I am a thespian, so I'm like, oh, she's fine. She's at the store. And she'd be like, oh, what's her name? And then because Granny's blind, she can't see. So I'm on Facebook and I'm like, Deborah, that's my wife's name. Whichever friend pops up, that's my wife's name because I know Granny's going to ask me in another 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, how's your wife? She's fine. Uh, but those are the stories I want to find and make a film because we had such a sweet relationship. And, you know, a lot of people with dementia are mean, and she was not. I mean, she was just a sweetheart. And, the things she would do, like I remember one day she had one of my socks in her hand and she was sitting there acting like she was putting on makeup. And and I thought it was the cutest thing in the world. And I was just like, what are you doing, Granny? And she's like, I'm just putting on my makeup. So you look fabulous, Granny. And, go on with your puppet sock, guys.
what my mother had dementia and she was in a nursing facility, but but she could be one of the mean ones for sure.
Yeah.
But I just remember when she was in Florida, so I'd go visit her, and she would be sitting there, and very, very opinionated Italian. My mother,
Mhm.
very opinionated, but always, way before she had dementia. And I just remember talking to her, and she said, "Whose idea was this cruise ship?" I'm like, she's in a nursing home. I said, "Your son." She goes, well, this ship sucks. I hope they will not a better ship tomorrow. I'm like, call him up. I'll call him up. You can talk to
Right. Yeah,
him.
she wants to talk to you.
And then I think one of my other favorites was she said, she had a boyfriend. My father had died the year before. I have a boyfriend. She said, and he likes me the best out of everybody here. I said, oh, cool. He doesn't talk, but I know he likes me the best. She said, but they just told me he's a woman. So I'm she needed to be the same. Somebody had to like her best. So I'm like, oh, okay. She goes, I don't know. I was like, I don't know, Ma. So to try, I mean, people say you should, bring them back to reality. Why? Why bring them
No,
back to reality? Let them live in whatever world they want to live in.
it is true. It is true because I remember like my stepdad, he was, not that patient with her.
Mm.
So, he would bring her back to reality. And it would sadden her. Like, like she would ask about people that were already dead. And so, you know, she would say, Cedric, how's so and so? And I'd be like, oh, they're at HEB. That's our grocery store.
Uh-huh.
So HEB is full of dead people. So I would just be like, oh, so and so's at the grocery store because I didn't want to make her cry. And then one day, my stepdad and my mom, she asked about someone and they were like, she's dead.
Why?
And, just like, Mama, we told you she's dead. And I felt, and then she just got so sad. And, you know, she, you know, she didn't like sob, but, little tears ran down her face. And I was just like, that's kind of shitty.
Mhm.
But the beauty of dementia, I guess, is they forget that fast. Because an hour later, she's asking me about the same relative. And I'm like, oh, she's at HEB. Yeah. I'll
That's
tell
it.
her to bring you something. Yeah. So,
And people who work, who work in those facilities, the good ones, they're just, I mean, they're angels. I
oh,
don't, my mother would go up to the counter and be like, hello, hello, and she'd bang it,
yeah.
hello, and I'm like, hello, Fran. And they try to tell her back. But that is just such not an easy job. It's
It is. God bless those that can do it. I have cousins that work in nursing homes,
mm,
and they're good. They're genuinely good people, so it fits them. Uh, you know, my mom was in rehab at a nursing home last month, and it was just awful because you have workers that don't want to be there. They're there to just collect a check. You have some that genuinely care about the people, and you just never know which one you're going to get. And then the the patients there, it's a cast of characters. I actually would like to write, something on that because, you know, they would all sit, four or five ladies they were like the mean girls of the residents
oh
because they
no.
would just, yeah, they would just sit there and talk shit about everyone. And there was one that was basically the crier. Like that's all she does is cry. And, and she would wheel herself crying and you'd see them go, oh, here she comes.
My
What are
mother
you
was
crying
one of
about
the mean girls.
now?
My
Yeah.
mother was one of the mean girls.
Oh,
But
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, look at this one. Look at this one. And then she'd talk
Yeah.
right back. She said, really? But look at her. She's an
Yeah.
asshole. I'm like, Ma, stop it. Stop it. But so you
Yeah.
gotta, you know, that stuff has got to be used somewhere. Obviously, there's a lot of people that go through it, and that's kind of well. Welcome to Bellevue is just a really cool little pilot that Maureen Ventries and Susan Lampkins wrote because it's who hasn't had that in their lives somewhere,
Yeah.
and every story. And I keep saying, was this one true to? Oh, they were all true. I'm like, really? Oh
Mhm.
my God. But I mean, people do what they do. The thing is, you gotta, you know, we're lucky we have this creative stuff where we can see that and store it somewhere, maybe use it and share it with somebody who's going
Yes.
through something that maybe they haven't seen before. And so they kind of feel seen and whatnot. Um, so I'm really thankful. I've been going through this thing lately where I go to a film festival and I'll just look around and I almost want to cry because I'm like, we may not all make the same work. We may not all be at the same levels. We may not, whatever, but we're all doing this thing,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
pretty freaking amazing.
And we're all doing the same things. What I love about the independent film circuit is that we all champion each other. I rarely, every once in a while, you're going to see like that one asshole who thinks his film is better than everything, and
Uh,
it's not. But the beauty of it, yeah, I've sat through a couple of those. But the beauty of film festivals is, I get to see my community, my tribe. I'm going to see you. I'm going to see John. I'm going to see Melissa, Janine, Bob. Laura. I'm going to see all of these people that I genuinely like
mhm,
and care for, and I'm going to see them do well at what they do.
mhm.
So, you know, that, and to me, that's priceless. I love, my filmmaking community.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, we don't. submit to anywhere near enough film festivals because I just don't have the time. And I kind of
Mm,
feel if I'm submitting, do you feel you go everywhere you submit your film if you can?
no.
Yeah.
I initially, like when we first started, that was
Okay.
the thing. You go show your face, go show your face. And then it just gets to the point, number one, you have to worry about time.
Mhm.
Then, I have I have my struggle job. So I have to work with my struggle job to, get the time off. And they're really cool about it. So, they let me go to Greece to see my film. So they're just like, whatever, Cedric. Um, but also, like festival fees, sometimes, you submit to a festival, $25 you get in. Well, now you got to spend $150 a person for the awards thing. And if you don't get your award. Uh, so advice everyone, research your film festivals. Submit to Long Island Expo, by the way. But yeah, but like with Lalo, I think I pretty much went mostly where Lalo played.
Mhm.
Um, but there have been films where, I didn't have a desire to go to that place, but I might have submitted it, you know, just because, and then I got in, but, I'm like,
I
I don't
know.
want to go to Alabama.
I know. I should. So many people that we know just submit everywhere, and that's cool. And
Yeah.
and I know I don't do anywhere near enough. But I feel bad if I don't go. I guess because I run one for so long that I kind of we
Mm,
want everybody to come, but I then I feel bad not enough people see it because I picked my
mm,
handful of film festivals that I really like, Austrian Revolution
mm,
being one of them.
yeah.
And there's something we just have a good time and we go to relax and that's fine. But then am I getting the movie out enough,
Yeah.
I gotta work on that. I'm still trying to find that balance myself.
Yeah. Same. I just, you know, I picked the ones I would have an interest in going to the place. Or if you told me, for instance, two festivals that were recommended to me that I probably would have never thought to submit to are two of my favorites, Borrego Springs and Beaufort. You know,
I gotta break into to Beaufort. I've yet to
Bu-
get it. Yeah.
Beaufort, I'm going to tell you about Beaufort's story. Beaufort is a fantastic festival, and over there, The Prince of Tides is my all-time favorite movie. That's the
Oh,
movie
I
that
love that.
made me want to be,
Oh, wow.
a
Hmm.
filmmaker. That was the first time I noticed score, cinematography, and they filmed that in Beaufort. Um, and I remember getting into Beaufort, and I was worried because it was South Carolina, and there was a racial incident that happened like a month before where they shot the guy in the back when he was running from them. So, I'm like, oh, here we go. But I get to Beaufort. It's a beautiful town. Everyone just comes together for the film festivals. Everyone's very welcoming. I, and I remember, how filmmakers, we get our schedules. And I remember getting the schedule and we played it like Wednesday at 11 in the morning. And I'm like, you know, who's going to be there for that? Theater's jam packed because that whole community, that
Hmm.
that's their that that's their time. They wake up, they sit there from 9 in the morning to the evening,
Love
and
it.
it's a think it's like a 450 500 seat venue, and it's packed. And I was just in awe of Buford, and Ron and Rebecca are so hospitable.
Hmm.
Everyone makes you feel like you're having a good time. And I remember walking down the street by myself because I was trying to look for Hoyt, and this man starts screaming at me, and I'm like, "Here we go!"
Oh boy.
And he's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Okay, here we go." And he just stops me. He goes, "I saw your movie the other day, and I wanted to tell you that was an amazing movie."
Ah,
And it just lit, it just, it makes you feel good. And then
mhm.
it also made me realize, Cedric, you know, despite the times we may live in, not everyone's shitty, and sometimes I
Mhm.
struggle with that because, you know,
Life.
yeah, yeah,
All right. Well, I am very thankful that Cedric has been here with us today. This is pretty awesome. We didn't get a chance to show your trailers, but I'm going to put them all in the comments. So look them up on YouTube. And Lalo, you said, is there as well.
Yeah, Lalo's there. Breaking Brokenness. I do have a couple of my shorts on YouTube as well. Just, check them out. If you feel like you want to laugh, you can follow me on social media. But my movies are sad, so you can have the best of both worlds.
Catharsis is necessary, but
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us from Texas. That's the one wonderful thing about doing this via Zoom. What sucks, of course, is technology just tries to tear us apart.
Yeah.
It freezes, the internet stops, the computer decides not having it or whatever. But I'm so glad that you came here with us today to join us on
Thank you.
Zoom. And I hope I get to see you at Austin Revolution this year. So hopefully I can get something in, and we'll see how that goes.
I will see you next year at the Austin Revolution.
All right. Thank you.
My love. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This will be going live by the time you're seeing it. It will be Monday, Eastern Standard Time on May 18th, Monday, May 18th. And keep joining us. Thank you. Bye.